Hello and welcome back to the Estonian Football Podcast. This is our June roundup with the start of July, as we are now in July and we didn't record at the end of June. We're joined once again by Martin Käos. How are you doing, Martin?
I'm very well. So much has happened in the past month. So there's a lot of things to talk about.
Yeah. So I feel like we spoke about before we went on we were going to talk about the national team. So I think it's good if we talk about the national team first before we go into the the league. Um, had two games. How, Martin, as an Estonian, how would you rate the games?
Well, I want to say first of all that I think ever since Hen got the job, then you can definitely see the progress. There's been a shift in players' mentality. There's been a shift in the players that are actually involved in the team as well. There's been a little bit of a mix-up now. But yeah, the first game against Israel, I think the team started very, very well. I think we controlled the game, um, and then that's also like a very big plus because last previous seasons, I don't think any of us or any of the fans could have said to any about any of the games that we controlled a part of the game. So that's already like a sign that it's going better. Um, but yeah, I think we played well. We started well. We took the lead. But after that, something happened. Maybe like I don't want to say that we were scared, but we maybe focused too much on defending. It's always easier to defend while having the ball, to controlling the game. I think we lost a little bit that one, but the team showed heart, and I think the fans appreciated this because I think as a small nation as well, and if we compare it to other small nations, that yes, one thing is the result. Obviously, you want to win games, and that's like most important, obviously. But if you lose, at least go out with a fight. That at least you show that listen, we have heart, we have desire, and I think that's what Estonia showed in both of the games.
I didn't see the Norway game, but I heard positive things about it. But I did watch most of the Israel game, and I thought they played really well. Obviously, went 1-0 up, like you said, and I felt after 1-1, the concentration just seemed to drop, and then heads dropped, and that ultimately led to the defeat. With the Norway game, it's got to be seen as a huge positive for Estonia that it was only 1-0. Against, like Haaland and Ødegaard and all these superstar Premier League players, to only hold them to 1-0, considering, like when Herberi was in charge, you'd expect 5-0 all the time. It's a positive step forward, I see it as.
I mean, yeah, if you take the Israel game, for example, then I know it's a cliche, and I've had the experience many, many times in different clubs that every time, you know, a game starts or at the end or the start of the first, second halves, these are the most important parts of the game. So obviously, if you come out of the dressing room, you know, the momentum has changed drastically after the first half. Whatever it was before, it's gone. You have to again build the new momentum up. So Estonia, they conceded just after the second half against Israel, and this was like a really this was really devastating. I think for the players. I mean, at least from the side, it felt like that. It might not have been on the pitch, but on the side, it felt like that. Uh, but yeah, against Norway, I mean, I think we played maybe our I don't want to say the best game under Hen, but definitely one of the best. Um, but that's always like an idea or a thought that if a big, massive country, okay, Norway is not like the top to top in Europe, but they're still very established with superstar players, that we expect some kind of a 3-4 nil loss. I mean, that's just I think a stupid way of thinking. Because Norway, they won 1-0. They don't actually care. None of the teams actually care how that they have to destroy small teams like 3-4 nil. But yeah, overall, I think we showed heart, and it's really sad. It's really sad that we couldn't at least get a point from that game.
I think it's hard for Estonia. They don't really. They either have to sit back and defend, or go out full on attack. They can't really have that balanced play where they can do both, especially like in Norway where the quality is a bit better.
I mean, you said it perfectly. I think that's been the biggest issue for me, at least, in the national team that we've had in the last 10, 20, 30 years, is that we lack this sort of possession-based football to build up. We either play straight from counterattacks, mostly. But yeah, I think that's just the way our football in Estonia is built up. There's not really focus on the possession-based based football, or at least to break teams down calmly. Everyone's wanna, you can see like some sort of small space up front. You immediately want to exploit that. So, that's just the way our football is raised. Maybe it's changed a little bit now. Maybe with the younger coaches coming up a little bit, getting better education, I hope that it's going to change in the future.
Do you feel, we won't dwell on the national team for a long period of time, but do you feel that the time is coming that within the next 10 years or so that Estonia will be in European Championships or a World Cup?
I mean, I wish. I think we all wish for it. I don't know. It's that's been the goal for us all this time. It's not like, okay, now that's the next 10-year goal for us. It's been always our goal to at least reach the European Championship. I think that we are on the right track, but I think just the other countries, they are moving a lot faster than us, and that's why for us it's like going backwards. It's not like we're doing something particularly wrong. It's just other countries are doing much better things, much more efficient things. But I think it's good that we have Estonian nationality, like a person in charge of the national team. I think that should be. Yes, I know in the big countries, for example in England, Tuchel is not English. But I think for us to understand Estonian players, especially we don't have many of them, then an Estonian guy is definitely the right man for the job. And but you asked me an impossible question, so I gave you a very political answer right now. But of course, I want to believe we are fighting for this to achieve this goal one day.
Yeah, nice. Perfect way to round it off. So if we move into the most predictable league in the Baltics and start talking about the Estonian Premier League. June was a quiet month. Overall, there wasn't as many games as previous months, obviously because of the national team breaks. There's been a couple of cup games, I believe. So let's start with how we normally do with Levadia, work our way down. Naif,
Well, I mean, normally we've done from the bottom, no?
Should we start from the bottom on this one?
Let's start from the bottom,
Let's start from the bottom. Let's do it. So, yeah, Naif, let's start with Talina Kalev.
Talina Kalev, right. Oh dear. So they haven't scored a goal all month. They got stuffed by Vapris as well, which actually in that Vapris game, I actually thought they were the better team until Vapris scored the first goal.
They did score a goal, to be fair. They scored one against Flora. Just at the end of June.
Yeah.
But they've been struggling. I agree. I mean, they're again. Maybe I'm a little bit trying to be optimistic, but I think in my eyes they have improved. I think they have improved.
Yeah, sorry, I haven't got the Flora game on my notes. That must have been part of my lazy spell. But yeah, I agree with the Kalju game, only 1-0, which is seen as improvement. Against Vapris, like I said, I thought they were the better side until Vapris scored. Levadia or Levadia. You expect them to lose to them and quite heavily. But I feel like the worrying thing with Kalev is we always talk about how they do against teams around them. And with what we probably class as the bottom four, the four teams who you'd expect to be near the relegation with Kalev, Hayu, Kura, and Temeka. I think you could probably maybe rule Temeka out, but they're there. They've only won one game this season, and that was when they beat Kura 4-0 against those four teams, and they've lost 5 times. And I think that's the more alarming than losing to Levadia, losing to Kalju, losing to Flora. You've got to start winning. You lose to Hayu again, then the gap they're down essentially. That's how I see it.
I agree with you on some points. A little bit disagree on the Vaprus's game because I was in Kadriorg on I was sitting with Vaprus fans. I have to admit, it was quite fun. I didn't sing along, but I was just chatting with some of the fans. But yeah, I was able to watch the game live, and I agree. The Kalev did start a little bit better, maybe first 5-10 minutes, but Vaprus was dominating the whole game. Like it was crazy, and it was just a matter of fact, like how many can they score. But they recently made a new signing. That's maybe a good news that we have a little bit, recording this a little bit later, that we know a little bit more info about the start of July. So we have signed a new goalkeeper. I've heard promising stuff about him. He's very ambitious guy. So I would definitely want to see him in the next game.
We also had, thinking of the new goalkeeper, Max Weinstein, on loan from New England Revolutions. We had some guy on Twitter messaging us who actually writes for New England Revolution, and he was saying he's such a big talent that New England love him, and they just want him playing games. And there was rumours of Championship and League One clubs who were looking at him. So the fact that he's at Kalev, it just seems, he could be, the next Carl Hein, maybe. I don't know why I said Hein because of different nationalities, but yeah, you know what I mean. But like New England had the Petrovic go to Chelsea, and Matt Turner as well, who left to go to Arsenal, who's now in Premier League with Forest, isn't it, or Palace, one of those two. So that's the last 3 goalkeepers to go abroad from New England is Turner, Petrovic, and now Weinstein. So who knows? He could be a top talent.
Yeah, I have to admit I don't know much about him. I know his CV obviously because you showed me. But yeah, obviously this doesn't mean anything. But if you see like in a player's CV that his agent is whatever it is, and it's quite well established. It's very in world it's not very known, but it is respected. And one of the clients is also Petrovic, the same Chelsea guy. So he's definitely. I think he has potential, and I think for us it's amazing if these kind of talents find their way into a Estonian league.
As yeah, because I think we can all agree the biggest thing with Kalev is defensively. They've conceded 58 goals in 18 games, which is, that's okay, I don't want to compare them to Levadia, but that's something like Levadia would do over like 3 seasons, which is rather than we're only halfway through, they're on track to concede 100 goals. So he's not overly experienced, but talent-wise, as a foreign goalkeeper coming to Estonia, they won't be bringing them in if they don't think he's going to help sort out the defensive issues. We always said it, especially when they had Forsman, that an experienced goalkeeper goes a long way, and then you can kind of live with like a makeshift back 4, back 3, whatever you're playing. But yeah, there's still some additions Kalev need, especially defensively. I think attacking wise, they are okay. They've still only scored 13 goals, but I don't really think there's much to improve there. Defensively, yeah, they're an absolute mess. So the goalie, I'm hoping, is what they need to help at least lower the goals going in.
Question I'll ask everyone now: are Kalev down?
Yes.
You know what I have predicted all season long, and I'm still keeping with my predictions. So I don't think I will finish bottom. They're definitely the favorites. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, I've been in contact with some players in Kalev that were previously in playing for Pärnu, and yeah, they've all said like positive things about the future as well. I mean, they're getting better, but yeah, they obviously the players have realized as well that this is it. They gotta start getting points, and it all starts with defense. Obviously, I know being in Vaprus and as well Narva, we weren't really fighting for top positions. I remember in Narva as well, we were like trying to be like a strong mid-table team, but the focus was on defense. At least get our defensive structure right. If we can't really create anything up front, okay, we'll work it out later. But at least get some points on the board and don't let the other teams take points away from you. That's what they have to focus on right now.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Let's move on to Curacao. I said it. So at the time of recording, they've just lost to Narva, 3-2. I said it as me and Nath were walking home this evening. I'm starting to feel a little bit sorry for them with how they're losing games. I think we spoke about it after like month 2, where they're not just unlucky. At a certain point, you've got to say that they're bad. But can we start saying that Curacao are a little bit unlucky now?
Yeah, I think they're getting a load of real shitty VAR calls against them, like real shitty ones, like that one today, like with Pajernim's handball. Like, yeah, it's handball, but his hand's like down on his thigh, and like,
But that's a hand, brother. Like,
yeah, no, I get it, but like where they change the rules so much, and they say like if your hand's in a unnatural position, then it's handball. If it's not, to me, like if your hands are by your side, they're by your side. And I also think when in the game against Levadia, um, when Kivi scored that goal, when they ruled that out, I thought that was harsh. I feel like there was contact, like because it was for a foul, I believe, where they were kind of like wrestling. But I thought that happens everywhere. And sometimes I feel with these Estonian refs, and especially I said it before on one of them, I feel like they just want to use VAR because they have it, and it's just kind of like something's happened, we've got to check it, and I feel like yeah they've had some real shitty calls.
like there's been talk about the VAR and overall referees' decisions absolutely in every dressing room I've been in, and that's not just in Estonia. That's everywhere in the world. That's normal. But the problem that the players have is not that okay, is this a handball or is this not a handball? The problem is the consistency that the same action that today is a handball, maybe you watch tomorrow a different game and it's not called a handball. This is the thing that messes up the players. If there would just be more consistency, then it wouldn't be such a problem. But Kuressaare, I think they're one of the teams in my eyes that at the start of the season they have grown. Maybe not the most, but it's definitely one of the teams that have gotten better and better and better. I think they were a little bit of a, definite underdogs at the start of the season. They weren't really getting praised or any acknowledged. But now I think every game, no matter if they come up against Flora or Kalju or Levadia, you actually have some sort of belief that they might actually get something away from the game. So this is like I think they're in the right direction.
I thought they played really well today. against Narva. Like some of the stuff they're playing, like going what you're saying, like you feel like they can get something. And even against like Hayu, I think until they had that red card against Hayu, it was yeah they're playing some decent stuff. But they're also not helping themselves as well. I feel because that game against Temeka, that crazy game when Pajonam had that crappy penalty. I don't know. It's like he just
Yeah.
didn't want to take it, and then they obviously lost the game in the 90th minute for a crappy penalty. And I feel like yeah, they're just one of those teams.
We say that they can take like points off of everyone and stuff, but they haven't won in 7 games. So then that goes back to my thing: are they unlucky?
Like, first of all, it's like in life, whatever you put in, you get out. And I think both of you said like correct things. And if we put it all into like in one pot, basically they are doing well, but they are losing every game. I think they're losing a focus. They don't have this 90-minute one, and that's why they are second bottom. I think they will. But again, this is maybe the lack of senior players, because a lot of main guys have left. Like Manny is not there anymore. Lead left. Meal is not there. I know Moritz retired. Õigus retired. There's actually it's been such a big shift. Reincourt obviously not there anymore as well. So it's not like, I think we're a little bit forgetting that how much of a change the team has gone through, because normally we talk about Narva having the same problem, and then we always say, okay, this is normal because they're not winning games so that much because they need time to work together to understand each other. But let's be honest, Kuressaare is also having the same issues right now, the same kind of problem. So that's why maybe it's a little bit lacking. But yeah, I think they have a good team to stay up for sure. I think to fight for 6th, 7th, why not? Why not 5th? Even. But yeah, they just need to get this focus on that for the entire match.
Well, you laugh at our shit takes, but blimey, 5th.
But you never know, Listen, you're saying not 5th because Narva has little bit of a gap now, but they were losing games and Pärnu was getting quite close. So it's pretty much like, I don't know, 3-4 lucky games, and they 5th and 6th are not that far away. But okay, I'm a grown ass man. I admit when I've done something wrong. So maybe 5th is a reach, but but 6th, why not 6th? 6th is doable for Kuressaare, I think.
Yeah, I'd take it back because they have come 5th before, didn't they? What, about 3 years ago, wasn't it? 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Anything is possible.
Yeah. I think that covers Kura. I agree, but I do think they'll be all right. I think they'll stay up. Above them are Haru, who obviously you think will finish bottom. Time is running out for that to happen. Do you still think they will finish bottom?
I mean, I need Kalev to step up, and now with the new signing, I think it's having the momentum. I mean, let's be honest, Haru is struggling. They did sign Bergman, so there is definitely a big addition. I've heard talks that I think he's just on loan until like at the end of the season, and then he will go back in. I think he will go back to Canada in January. But yeah, he's definitely a good signing for them. But yeah, I think Harry is like a little bit maybe similar to Kuressaare, that they're always in there. They're not like taking massive L's, but just something is lacking, and I think they've lost this little bit of a spark they had maybe at the start of the season because they got promoted again. Like, listen, we have a new chance. Everyone was pumped, but I think at the tough moments where things are not coming your way, this is like where you need the team, and this is where the heart, I think, or the real quality shows. And I think now it's time for us to see the real Harry.
They're going through a stage at the minute where they're relaying their pitch, so they're not playing home games. Oh, they're meant to be playing Vaprus this weekend. It's not happened. Their next game isn't until the 13th of July, which is against Kalev. Their last game was on the 29th of June. So that's like a big gap for Hayu at the minute. And then they have basically 4 games, including a cup game, in the space of like 10 days. Is that for a team of Hayus where they want to stay up? Is that going to bother them at all?
I mean, it has effect. It does have effect. I mean, first of all, when your body is used to, okay, I'm playing every week, and it actually a little bit messes up when all the teams now are playing, and then you have to miss out. And the same problem is with Vaprus players as well. You know, I'm still in contact with some players in Vaprus. I'm good friends with them, and obviously none of the players are happy that they have to wait and see other teams, still having the momentum, because Vaprus was on a good run. Harju as well was struggling to get any points. Then they got a draw against the Kuressaare. Okay, they played with against them 10 at the end, but they finally got the momentum up. So I think it would have been good for them to, okay, let's play again now quickly. So yeah, it's a little bit not an ideal situation for them. But I think the positive is that they have a new pitch now, hopefully soon. Because I was playing in the previous one, and I don't think any of the players that any, not just me, but absolutely anybody, nobody liked the pitch. So I think that's a good sign. But yeah, they have Kalev, they have Levadia next, so it's definitely not an easy round. But again, going a little bit back to Kalev, then next game is against the Stadio, so this is like they have to. That's the time they have to win it.
Something I will, when I talked about Kalev with playing against teams, in the bottom 4, Hayu are one of the better teams in that kind of mini table. They've won, they got 15 points, and 13 of them are from Kalev, Kura, Temeka. So I suppose it is a big boost that they can show that they are beating those teams. So I guess mentally, they've beat Kalev twice already this season, and they've beat them comfortably twice this season. Mentally for them, I guess they see, if we beat Kalev, we're fine, right?
That's how
Yeah,
I see I think that's how I see the next game for them is against Kalev, which we said. I think that's probably, I don't know if you can call it too early because we're in the middle of the season. I'd say it's the game of the season for both sides. It's probably going to dictate a switch in form. Kalev are playing at time of recording. Kalev are playing tomorrow against Temeka. Temeka are slowly improving, which we'll get on. It's a big game for Kalev, but if they can get something from that and then they go to Hayu and beat Hayu, then the relegation battle opens up again. And with Kura performing better but still not picking up points, it would be anyone's.
I mean, the important thing for I don't want to say the smaller clubs, but the clubs that are not fighting for the titles, it is to win against your biggest rivals or the competitors. So with Harju, we have to give respect to them because, as you said, they are the best in the rankings among the neighbors. So it's definitely give them a confidence boost. That's for sure.
Yeah. Okay. We'll jump up to Temeka, who have improved, as we've just said. They won 2 games back to back in June against Hayu and Kura. So relegation rivals, pulled them slightly away. Bashir found some form. He had a bit of a dry spell. Will Temeka keep hold of him during the transfer window?
I think it seems that they will they will keep him. I think he would have either already left or he would be maybe like in a similar situation with Gabora, that he's slowly getting on the bench, and then we can kind of understand, okay, he's probably leaving. But Bashir, normally if transfers are close to happening, then it's not worth to take a risk for the player to get injured and the club to lose the money, for the transfer. So it seems to me, at least, Bashir is staying. But I want to believe, logically thinking, that obviously Tammeka ideally want to sell him for profit, because that's the main thing why clubs are bringing in foreigners.
Yeah. I don't think he'll go anywhere now. I think it's like been really quiet on him, which is there's not been much noise. But yeah, if they can, because he's obviously his contract's up at the end of this year, so yeah, if they can get a profit for him, they'll obviously do it. But yeah, Tammeka as a team, they've picked up, going back to the game just before June where they smashed Kalev 5-0. They've won 3 games out of 5, so they've climbed up the table. They've got 2 favourable-ish games against Kalev and Kura coming up, so 6 points there, and then I'd say that guarantees them, like, they're not going to be in any trouble for the rest of the season. They can probably kind of just chill and all that stuff. But yeah, but with Tammeka, I don't really feel the results have improved, but I don't really feel like the performances have improved. I feel like they're just scrape, apart from the game against Kalev where they smashed them. I don't feel like their performances have been that great. So I'm just wondering if anyone else thinks the same.
I agree with you. I think obviously slightly they have slightly improved. They did announce that the current head coach will stay at the end of the season, until the end of the season. There are some talks that maybe he's just like a substitute and they wait for the other main guy to arrive. But it seems like they're happy with him. And yeah, I think he's a little bit found, in my eyes, like a new system. I realized a couple of games ago that, for example, Koskor plays a little bit, much deeper than he normally plays. Is either up front or at least next to Bashir. But recently he has been really bit dropping down, and but yeah, I've spoken with a couple of players in Tammeka, and yeah, they've trying some new things, and like I think it's working, because yeah, in June they've out of the 3 games they won the 2, lost against Paide. Obviously they were the underdogs, but yeah, you said it perfectly. Next 2 games, listen, just go out there, get the 6 points, and it's not safe, obviously, but it's a massive boost, and the momentum for them till the end of the season.
I feel like we keep saying, like, for like this weekend games and stuff, like, it's massive. Like Tammeka versus Kalev, both teams have to win, and then it's the week after that, Hayu versus Kalev, both teams have to win, and it just seems like normally I feel like at this stage of the season you kind of know they've won the league, they're down, but I feel like there's so much to play for. And it's so hard to predict, as you see with our predictions, that and I'm just finding it like quite exciting.
Not with my predictions. That's why I'm confident.
What is it you said yesterday? It was the Levadia game when they went 2-0 up, and you was like, "Oh, Martin's picked Levadia. He's took the easy way out."
I said as I was going to ban you from next season to like picking the results.
No, but why we keep, or at least why am I keep saying that? For example, now Tammeka, if they win next 2 games, 6 points, I'm obviously safe, but much better state. Obviously, take all the points that they're still up for grabs. They are nowhere near safe. But the point I want to make is that it's a rare occasion that a team from the bottom goes on a massive win streak. So if Tammeka, for example, takes those 2 wins, the gap between, for example, them and Kalev is that if Kalev haven't managed to pick up anything, it's so massive now that even if Tammeka maybe doesn't I don't want to say a bad word, but doesn't do well enough, it's crap, till the end of the season, then it might still be okay because Kalev, they gotta start winning 4, 5, 6 games in a row now, and I think that's what doesn't really happen in Estonian league. That's why it's really important to at least get the gap between the teams, and then it's like, listen, it's not like you can take it easy now, but that the team it's very rare that it's actually gonna start putting in like a massive streak.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I can agree with that. With that, let's move on to Vapris. Their quality. I really like them. I like watching them. Going with including their result end of May. They drew with Levadia. They beat Kura. They beat Kalev. They just lost to Pied, and they drew with Kauyu. I really like Vapris, the way they play, how organized they are. The team cohesion is like top notch. As a former player, Martin, how are you enjoying watching Vapris this year?
I mean, I'm enjoying. I'm really enjoying. Obviously, after when we're gonna talk about those players that have shined, there are definitely a couple of in Vapris that I want to mention. But they've done really, really well. Obviously there have also been bad news. Especially 2 players is out there. I think they're out for the rest of the season. One is Sepik and the other one is Reimo Madiso. That's at least what's people are predicting. So it's a little bit now more difficult for them. But listen, they are on a good streak. That's why again, like, it's a little bit sad that they're missing this weekend to keep the momentum. But yeah, I'm very happy to see from the side how they're doing, and I think it shows that they have a good heart. They have a good fighting spirit. Yes, they do have some issues, some problems. But I think overall they haven't lost their identity that the club have had in the last couple of seasons when they've done well. And I think that was the biggest job for the coach, for Igor to maintain, because a lot of players left. So when a lot of new players came in, and maybe that the positions that need to be strengthened weren't actually strengthened. So this made Igor's job even more difficult. But yeah, I mean, he's doing very well at the moment.
It's nice to see the younger players coming up. Paulberg, Lindberg. I know Pajo's technically a Flora player, but he started playing well. And I think that's kind of how I've always associated Vapris with, like these young players, just playing well. And there seems to be like that family vibe with them, even with the fans and everything about the club. And we talked about it last month as well, with the steps they've made from the last 4 or 5 years to where they are now is just huge, and it's really nice to see them playing well, because they're great clubs in a beautiful city. It's great stadium. It's nice to see them doing well.
It's always important that if a player drops out either with injury or just lack of form, that the player that steps in, does the job. And I think that's what's been happening in Vapris. Always the guy that has to replace somebody has done the job. A good example is the very last game against Kalju. Palberg was usually has been the number 9. He was out. I think he had a fever. Kauber was out with the cards, with yellow cards. So Virgo had to step up. And if I remember correctly, then he made the start of Kapper's goal. He was the one that actually got past the defenders and put the ball in. So and also in center back, Sepik was the key man, got injured, Lip step up, does the job. So it's everybody's working well, and I know that yes, they have good spirit and stuff, but it's not like they're always like good friends, like not saying anything bad to each other. They are pushing everybody in training, but when training is finished, like all is good, So it's still professional mentality, and I think that's what they have good mix of young players and experienced players. So I'm very happy to see that.
Are we like where we always give like a quite a random take? We talk about top five. Is it possible for Vapris? Narva have a 12-point lead over Vapris, like as of right now. We don't really like to talk about easy games and all that stuff, but coming up, Vapris do have a favorable run of games. They have Narva to play, which would be difficult. They have Curacao, they have Hayu, and then they have Kalev, all of which, based on how they've been playing, are extremely winnable. So is there obviously it all depends on what Narva do as well. Can we say that Vapris can finish like 5th this year if they continue playing how they're doing?
I was a little bit concerned when the gap was starting to become really big. It was clear that, listen, we have top 5 and then we have the rest of us. And then I was trying to put myself in a Vapris's situation. If I was a player, it would have been, I think, mentally like a little bit like devastating, because that, listen, the gap is so big. Now our job is just to let's fight and hold this 6th position pretty much. And obviously a little bit of a hope that maybe we can reach 5th, but it's probably impossible. But yeah, I think Narva, it's a little bit sad that they've dropped off, because they were like our underdogs. They were really up for it. But now with Cabora leaving and a little bit dropping points, okay, Toka has actually started scoring, which is good, but I think they can. It's just with the momentum. But I think Vaprus, if they don't think about the 5th position, if they just keep doing what they've been doing, taking one game at a time, not putting any attention to whatever happens up there, then I think it's doable. It's doable for sure.
Just moving on to Narva, who, like you said, I think you've said they could break top 4. They're still only 4 points behind it. I know everyone else has a game to play. But it was a tricky month. They literally had the top 3 to play in June with Kalju, Flora, Levadia. Unlucky against Levadia, obviously 90 plus whatever to take a point off of them. And they played well today against Kura to an extent. I wasn't overly impressed. I thought Kura was actually better, but like you say, Doak is scoring goals. Do you feel with Doak, because I'm not sure how many he's got. I actually haven't checked my notes, but I see him as a more than capable replacement for Cabor.
I mean, they're 2 totally different players. I think Toka is more of this flair type of guy. Cabora was just like a powerhouse. But they both suit Narva's style for sure. But again, I was a little bit seeing the problem like today. Today was Narva versus Kuressaare. I was a little bit seeing the problem that they are like, they don't really know the solution if Narva want to break a team down. Normally it's Cabora. That, listen, he's up there. I'm gonna just ping the ball up there, and we know that because he's so big, he's powerful, he knows how to hold the ball, that then he will make something for us. But now they don't have this big target striker anymore. Toka is not the guy that you really want to put some aerial balls into him. But I think he's definitely, just in terms of just ignoring the way of playing, but just to think about the efficiency of Toka, then for sure he can have the same number of contributions up front for sure.
I feel like I don't want to give like criticisms because obviously he's scoring goals and all that stuff, but I feel like Doka, he can be a bit selfish. He sometimes head down running, and especially today against Curacao, I'm watching. It's like pass the ball, pass the ball, pass the ball, and he's just like doing too much, and then he'll be swarmed by like 3 players, lose possession. Whereas, yeah, as you say, like Cabora is completely different player, powerhouse, shithouse, run right through you and all of that stuff. Do you feel like for them then to keep up with that form despite Docker scoring goals, they need that big power man up front, or do you think they could, as they finding that adaptability that they're struggling with to like work something out? Do you feel like they need that because that's what they've worked with all season, or do you think they can live without it for the rest of the year?
Well, listen. First of all, they're safe. I mean, it's not like they're in a
Yeah,
bad place in the league. But for sure, they're still hoping to get Europeans. But they might have. I don't have any intel, but they might have some new guys on trainings already. Because Gabora is leaving. Maybe they're looking for another powerhouse. That's always a possibility. And I mean, if we think about Kozuhovski, then in Kuressaare he always had like a powerhouse up front. And yes, he's changed the way of playing completely with Nara, but he still was a little bit reliant on the powerhouse up front. So I'm maybe we're just wanting to see, or just we're probably trying to see some kind of negatives now with Cabora leaving. But I think Toka, yes, he's a little bit selfish, but you have to be, because Estonians are not the type of players that know how to dribble past 2, 3, 4 players. That's why, listen, if your foreigner can do that, then listen, you can do that, do it. But if as long as he's efficient, then I don't think any of the Nara players have problem with it.
I was gonna say, I can't remember what it was I wanted to say, but it was something about Narva. And say, yeah, that's right. You were talking about, when you went, obviously they're safe, but they started so well. They obviously don't want to end the season poor, right? They want to keep going and going and going and going and going. And we talked about last month, I mentioned they need, was it last month, might have been the month before, I said they need that 20-goal striker, and you said Kabor's the guy. Surely when he goes, it it's gonna be difficult, isn't it?
yeah,
Well, it's not a like a surprise if they're now struggling without him, compared to being very good with him. Uh, but yeah, I think I don't. Again, okay, they want to get European place, but maybe I don't know the transfer sum. If Cabora goes, maybe that's you know almost the same as the European spot they might get in the Conference League or whatever. I don't know. So they might not financially be still level. Um, but yeah, but now it's a chance for someone else to step up. Either is it Toka or is it Vidas? I think Vidas he came with like a big shout that, listen, we're gonna see him start scoring goals, but it's a little bit uh, again in the shadows maybe. But it's time for him to step up. It's time for Toka to step up. So it's time for the players to shine.
Yeah, sure. Um, Moving on to, I suppose we're to the top four. I kind of want to bunch them together, and the reason being, I felt like we really had a title race coming in. There was a stage before Vashilev went to Paida where you said they were done, and then they went on that winning run where they beat Flora a couple of times and kind of dragged themselves back into it. And then Cal U lost a game and drew a game and dropped some points, and then they kind of slipped back, and then Flora and Levadia were kind of there or thereabouts. I kind of felt like we had a four-way race, like Paida brought it back and it got a bit excited again. But now I feel like those other teams, bar Levadia, kind of just obviously Paida have just lost to Levadia, and I was really disappointed. That's why I picked Paida on my predictions. I just kind of wanted that momentum to keep going, and just I felt like if Paida won that game, we could have had like a real exciting end of the season.
yeah. I feel Cal U have even though they've been winning, I feel like they kind of like lost a bit of steam. Um, they've just signed Manalan, which I think is a nice signing. I really like him. I never understood why Flora never used him. Probably because they had Sappin and Sorga and all that stuff. But there we go. Yeah, Levadia seem to have not run away. They're 6 points clear at the moment as we talk. Flora, you do have a game in hand, so the gap could be decreased as of tomorrow if Flora win. But yeah, it now seems like almost certain that Levadia are gonna win the league. And yeah, last month when we were talking, it was kind of like, do you know what? Flora could win it. It's that's how I see it. Yeah, the Levadia seem to have got better, and everyone else seems to have dropped off a little bit. I don't think Paida were ever going to be in the race. It was too much to ask for, but they've like entered the top two race, let's say now, like for second and third. So yeah, what do you think, Martin?
It's crazy. Yeah, I think that okay, Flora and Myers have been consistent, but Levadia, Paide, and Kalju they have drastic changes. I think Levadia was struggling, obviously. Even Kuro. I was in the stands when Levadia and Vapros played, and they drew in A Le Coq Arena. Then after the game, I saw how Kura was just sitting alone in the stands, just by himself after the final whistle, all alone. So it looked like maybe that's it, maybe this is it for him. I didn't want him to leave. I think he's done an amazing job, and every team has a drop, obviously, in the league. But now they signed his son, and so it seemed that the club has faith in the coach, and they're again, I think, back, maybe not in the peak form, obviously, but they're still, I think, in a good form ahead of the European games. They found their, soul again, and Paide is a little bit, yeah, they started really well under Vladimir Vasilev. I was in the stands when they beat Flora, and they were completely dominating the game. I mean, Flora had, they didn't have anything going on for them basically. I do admit I didn't have time to watch the Levadia game, which they lost. I did saw the highlights and goals, but obviously the game, how they went out, I didn't actually know. Uh, and Kalju, it's crazy to think about Kalju because something happened to them after the cup final. They are not the same team anymore. Guilherme is not the same player anymore. I don't know what happened. There's the only thing that's been consistent is that Kaski is still scoring. I'm happy for that. This guy just found a way to nick some goals in, to nick some assists. That's fine. That's crazy, but it's crazy. Like Flora is just doing their own thing. Maybe not playing as beautifully every game, but they're scraping points. Levadia had like a massive drop. They're back. Paide and Kalju are trying to find themselves. So it's very strange for me what's going on at the moment.
It's
Yeah.
funny you mentioned Guilmer, because mentioned him the other day. We were watching Yu, and I was like, "Oh shit, can you remember him?" Like, he's not like I forgot. Like, not that he existed, but like, yeah, like the production levels have dropped off, and I don't know. Can we say that they're tired 19 games in, or is there just like a lack of motivation somewhere? Or I don't know. How would you describe it? Because I can't. I don't know. Like, obviously, we don't play professional football. We can say from the outside that they look tired and a bit lethargic. But yeah, how would you say what the drop off is like for Kalyu?
I will. It's a good question. I will counter you. I want to ask you one question before. If you are doing well in life and you're, I don't know, getting promoted in your job and things are going well in your life, do you have more energy, or you feel like you don't have any motivation?
Oh, I can tell you right now. what I'm doing, I was given a load of. I wouldn't say I'm doing well in life, but I'm doing okay, you know, but like the I have a decent enough job, but I was given a load of tasks today, and one of the things I said to my colleagues, I looked at him and I let out a big sigh and I said, I don't want to fucking do this. And that was that. So that answers the question.
Well, the point I want to make is that if you're, I don't think they're tired. I don't think Kalju is tired. You're not tired when you're winning. You're never tired when you're winning. Like it's like I think that's why you have to give more respect to players who are in the lower clubs, who are fighting every week, who are still having the same hunger. Uh, that's what I was a little bit missing in Estonia as well, I have to admit, and that's what I found again in Italy, that I was in a team that we were fighting for something, and every game was like, oh, listen, we feel we are strong, we feel that we are one of the best teams, if not the best team in the league. So saying Kalju is tired doesn't make sense to me because they were on a great run. They won the title, so their confidence is up. If I would be Kalju's player and I won a title, then I'm listen. Hey, give me a next opponent. I will smash them. I will destroy them. I don't. I'm not tired. Like I'm not tired of winning. I want to keep winning. So they have some kind of a. They have to have some kind of a different problem. Uh, but maybe this will change with Manilan coming in. Maybe not. They have like a now proper striker up front who is like a target man who knows. Because Kailu is playing with, like, maybe I'm a little bit trying to connect the dots, but Kailu is playing with three at the back, and the same system was Manilan in Kuressaare. So he's a little bit. He knows the system. He knows where he has to be. Maybe when the right centre back has the ball, when left centre back has the ball. So I think they're definitely not in trouble, but they have lost some kind of momentum or the identity a little bit. But they signed this another striker as well. Is a little bit similar face to the João Pedro that Chelsea signed from Brighton.
Yeah.
Kyle put the new picture that the new, I don't know, new guy. I think he's Brazilian, yeah.
Yeah. No,
Or not?
Guinea, Equatorial Guinea.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wait, I thought Chelsea signed him. Like, well, then I opened like the Chelsea website. Like, okay, this is a different guy. They're so similar.
I watched that new signing for the under 21s. Yeah, it would be okay. Well, I don't know what game time he's played, but he just looked suited for the Liga rather than the Premier League. But obviously he'll need time to. It's a big move, isn't it? Getting it's a new country, new lifestyle, new culture. So yeah,
Promise started in Eesti Liga B.
he did, but
He did.
he also scored straight away and all that stuff. He was shit hot in the S Liga B. So it's I can't believe. I know it's like going off track, but I can't believe he was playing S Liga B.
Bro, I remember the thing is, like, yeah, he played for Kalju's second team was in Eesti Liga B, and they played in Pärnu, and we finished training in the Rehepapi stadium, and the game was just after our training. So I watched like Kalju, all those young kids coming, I don't know, look like babies, like compared to us, when we were there. And then was big, massive dude, like the promise. I'm like, bro, what are you doing here? Then like, listen, I have to play for them. And but it's amazing to see his. I'm a little bit going off topic, but I think that's okay. He's like one of the main faces of our league, for sure, for the next years as well. So he deserves a little mention from
Yeah.
us.
Just talking about that. So apparently with Kabor rumors are he's going to Hearts, right? Apparently they use the same data and technologies to scout him that USG did with Promise David. So I saw on our Twitter feed, wasn't it? Some fan was like, "Yeah, but anyone can do it in Estonia." And I was like, "But that's not true, is it?" Because we've seen players come and do it. I think he's a talent. I think he'll do well in Scotland personally. And
You-
if there's data, I'm not all for data. I think XG is a con. I think all of this stuff is bollocks, and I don't like it. But I think if there's data to show that this is a type of player, then go for it, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. XG is a joke. I don't like. There's so many articles on Estonian football journalists, by them that some crazy stats, about XG. But listen, it's complete crap, especially for.
The only one that counts is the one that hits the net. It doesn't matter if it says, "Oh, but we could have scored 5 according to our stats." Yeah, but you didn't, right? So what does it matter if you could have done it but you didn't?
And let it all out, let it all out.
I could be married to Sydney Sweeney and all that stuff, but I'm not.
And
Like,
the
it's,
XG is small, bro. It's 0.001, man.
Yeah, but I remember the Premier League, like at the end of the season, they put the league table up and they were like, "Oh no, congratulations Liverpool and all this, you've won the league." And then they done, but what about the XG table? And they went to a different XG table, and it's like, but that doesn't exist because it doesn't count. Why are you showing that? And we're way off topic now.
It's because technology has evolved so much, and just journalists want to have some new. Maybe they're bored. They need to find some new topics to talk about. So that's just journalist life, I guess. But yeah, for us footballers or football fans, it's pointless information.
yeah. But anyway, going back on topic, as we head into July, we have European games. For yeah, do we feel like the clubs in Europe are going to be rotating? There's some big games in there. Flora have Kalju tomorrow. Um, both sides are realistically going to want to put out a strong team, but then straight after, we've got the European games. So do we feel like there's going to be rotation? Do we feel, or we're just going to go for it and then see what we can do in Europe?
That there's no rotation. They're both every team that is obviously that's my opinion, but I think every team that is in the European competitions, they will put the best team on the pitch, and probably the team that will play in the European games. It's interesting to see Levadia's side actually, especially the center back partnership, because Petson has been out for a long time. He came back last game. Again, I didn't watch the game, but I heard he played in a number 6 position. And I think if Petson was out, then the center back pairing was Tamik with
Tamik and
yeah,
the new,
and,
victory.
Yeah, they're performing really well with the pairing. So, but you don't want to leave Petson out for sure. He has to start.
Oh.
So where do you put him? So that's like interesting for me at least. Their next game, the last game before the European competition, that how are they gonna solve the situation? Maybe Kuro is also trying some kind of thing for the European games. But I hope, I think European games in general, no matter are you Kuressaare player, Vaprus's player, or just like a fan outside, you want every team to do well. You put aside all this rivalry. You just want to see every Estonian team progress and do well. And I think, again, not putting any criticism on Stojkovic. I think Paide with Vasiljev is in a better state. Levadia is finding form. Little bit concerned with Kalju again, but I think the opponent they have is very winnable. At least it will be very close, and that's a game where they need Guilherme for sure. But I know Kasik will score anyway. And yeah, who am I missing? Oh, Flora. So, but yeah, they have so much history, So I think we can be optimistic for sure. but again, we've been experiencing, or we have so much history about still completely failing in the Europe, so we have to be careful at the same time.
You've kind of briefly touched on it, but who do we say has the best chance of progression? I'm going to say Paida because I feel like the Gibraltar League is of a substandard level to Estonia. I know Manaland said in an interview that it was very similar. So I feel like Paida probably have the better chance. Levadia obviously really difficult against RFS. They could have had a more sensible tie, I suppose. And the Icelandics always give the Estonians a game with Flora, so it's going to be tricky. And I know nothing about Partizani, who Cal you have, so I feel like Paida have the better chance.
I think out of all of them, I think Kalyu, Paida, Flora can all progress. Um, I don't want to rule out Levadia, but obviously, what RFS's budget is ridiculous, isn't it, compared to Levadia's and the rest of Estonia? So it would be hard, but I feel like Levadia can win that. And yeah, but I definitely feel like Paida, Flora, and Kalyu will go through, which would be great for Estonian football. As regards to like group stage football, I don't think it will happen this year. But next year, a couple of years, I feel like all of them can give it a go.
I agree with the RFS game. It's Levadia is underdog, but again, if we have to pick one team in our league to face them and to have a chance of winning, I would pick Levadia. So I think they will definitely have a. I think it will be close, but I have to give the slight edge to RFS for obvious reasons. Kalju again, I think very winnable team, but I'm just a little bit concerned about the form. But their final game before the Euros is against Flora, so I think that's like I want to see a really spirited. It doesn't even have to be a win, okay, but just a spirited and like the real Kalju in the game. And if I will see that the game's tomorrow, I think, then I'm again quite confident that they will progress. I agree with Paida. I think they're doing well. I think they're playing again in Kadriorg. I want to believe, and they like it's like they feel so home there, even though it's not their home stadium, but they feel so comfortable there. So I'm putting them as favorites for the tie again. Yes, and I don't know nothing about the Flora's opponent, so that's like really, Flora haven't been that impressive as well for me lately, but they have still managed to scrape some kind of results. And in Europe, you just have to scrape them. And they have Sapinen, who has like a really good record in Europe, really good. So he's like this guy has experience to nick a goal out of something.
Yep. Okay, cool. Right. So if we move on, then let's do our players who have impressed us, I suppose, to wrap this up. Martin, do you want to go first?
I can go first. I mentioned it previously, some time ago, that I want to mention a couple of Vaprus players. One is Kapper. Like he's been bowling. I think it's easy for a spectator to appreciate him because he's been efficient in front of goal. He's scoring goals. He's been effective. So it's not like a big surprise, but I want to mention it. He's been a really standout player. And it was I think it was against the last game against Kalju, where he had to play in the number 6 position. It was so funny for me to watch. He didn't really I don't think he fully understood where he had to be in the game, but he was always managed to be in the right place. But you could see that, listen, I don't actually know where to go, but I'm going in the right direction. But yeah, one of his is Kapper, and I want to see Kevin Alo as well. For defenders, it's difficult to get noticed, especially because you are not scoring so many goals than attackers, but he's been putting really good shifts in, and as well again the Kalju game, like Guilherme didn't do anything on his side, was absolutely pocketed, and I remember Guilherme switched sides as well at the end of the game to try to do something. So for them, I want to say the two guys, and also Kivi from Kuressaare. He's again like a completely new guy for me. Didn't really know much about him, but he's also been balling. He's been effective from goals, and today as well, he got an assist against Narva. So he's doing very, very well.
Yeah, I've got two players. I'm gonna say Maximkin for Narva. I think he's kind of gone under the radar a bit this year. So I'm not necessarily talking just June now. I'm talking whole season. I think he's probably been Narva's best player. I'm going to say it. I think he's been brilliant. I think that even in terms of league, he's been one of the better midfielders. And I'm watching him today. I was kind of just had my eyes on him, and I was thinking, yeah, he's a talent, like real. I really like him, and I've kind of just ignored that for what, however many years he's been playing, 3 or so years. He's been first team, any. But yeah, I've really liked him, and I'm gonna say Tavali as well from Flora. I think he's really becoming a key player for Flora. Scored a couple of goals, getting some assists, and yeah, I think really impressed.
I wanted to say Kivi. He's
No, but you
really.
but you can't, brother. I said Kivi.
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna say David Epton for Temeka. He got sent off against Pida, so it sounds a bit weird, but that red card was absolute bullshit. No, he got sent off against Kura, sorry, not Pida, which where he like got the ball and then he still sent him off. I think he's been vital in what's turned their form around a little bit. Sometimes you need that little aggressive player in midfield to like break up the play and calm things down and like move the ball about. And yeah, I think he's been really good. And yeah, I've been impressed with him and Kivi as well. But yeah, I'm not allowed to say.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I think that wraps it up then. That's June, and we'll be back in end of July, early August, I suppose.
Yeah, we have European games in the middle of it, so it's again a very exciting month coming ahead. So it's then we have Max's debut hopefully for Kalev. We're gonna see how Bergman does for Harry as well, and all the new guys in Kalju and everywhere else. So it's definitely new players to watch. So for us, it's good.
Yeah.
It's gonna be exciting. Busy month. It's gonna be should be lots to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah, and definitely more VAR howlers and a lot of this type of situations as well. Probably another red card for Epton that he shouldn't have, but that's.
Nah, that was bollocks. I can't
But
believe it.
speaking of red cards, do you remember the meet of one against Harju? For me, this was not a red card.
Yeah. What was all that about?
This was fully a yellow card. It's definitely yellow card. It's not like a no card situation. It's
It
yellow
was
card.
ridiculous.
And
But
then
did you see?
couple of days later, I was having dinner with one of my good Italian friends in Old Town, and then I left. I started to go home, and then I walk, and all of a sudden, like a car comes past me, and then slams on brakes, and then rolls down the window, and it's Klepevtsov is driving, and then Demidov is next to him, and then I say hi to them, and then Demidov says to me, "Listen, this was not a red card, man. It was not a red card." And I tell him, "Brother, don't worry. It was not a red card. It was a yellow. I completely agree with you." It was so funny interaction.
Yeah, it was crazy. That yeah. But then you look at like that. Did you see the Elva game earlier in S Liga where the guy caught the ball? Did you see that? The guy,
Yeah,
yeah, and he didn't even get booked for it. Like that's deliberate handball. The laws of the game state that's
yeah.
a card, right? I don't know. It's just weird.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, the point is that, in July, definitely, I think every month something crazy has happened, and that's the beauty of our league. That's
yeah, definitely. Yeah, right. Let's wrap this up, and then we'll be back in 4 weeks ish.
yeah. See you then.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one. Cheers.